All right, so in this question, we have some information about automobile engine coolants. We have antifreezes that are added to water to prevent the cooling system in an engine from freezing in cold water. So we have four compounds: wood alcohol, which is methanol; ethylene glycol, which is ethane 1,2-diol; glycerol, which is propane 1,2,3-triol; and propylene glycol, which is propane 1,2-diol. And the question is asking us which two compounds from this list above belong to the same homologous series. So we need to ask ourselves, what is a homologous series? A homologous series is a group of molecules that differ by one specific unit, and most commonly the specific unit that we're talking about is CH2. In other words, we're adding another carbon to the parent chain. So if I take a look at this list, I'm looking for a molecule that has the same functional group, but one of them has one more, one less carbon in the parent chain. So if I consider methanol, methanol would be, I'll draw methanol down here. Methanol, because meth means one, would have one carbon in the parent chain, would have our OH group, and then 3 hydrogens bonded to it. If I consider ethane 1,2-diol, Eth means 2, so I have 2 carbons in my parent chain. So far, this looks good. I'm adding a carbon to the parent chain, but I have 2 hydroxyl groups. And so this is different than the first one. In the first one, I only have 1 hydroxyl functional group, and in this one, I have 2. So even though I've increased the number of carbons in the parent chain, I've also added another functional group. So 1 and 2 is not going to be the best choice here. If I compare, or if I consider the next compound on the list, sorry, we'll just fill in these carbons here. I have propane 1,2,3-triol, so prop means 3, so I have 3 carbons in my parent chain. On the first, and on the second, and on the third, I have a hydroxyl group, so I would just fill in my hydrogens like this. So there would only be 1 hydrogen here. So I compare that to the second and to the first. I have 3 carbons in the parent chain, which is 1 more than the second compound, but I've again added an extra functional group. So I'm going to take a look at the last one, compound number 4. Compound number 4 is propane 1,2-diol. So prop means 3, so I have 3 carbons in my parent chain. 1,2-diol means I have a hydroxyl group on the first and on the second carbon in my parent chain. And we could, of course, fill in the rest of the hydrogens here. And so if I compare this to the first, or to the second compound, it has 1 more carbon in the parent chain and the same number of hydroxyl functional groups. So this is the best choice for 2 compounds that belong to the same homologous series. If I were to compare 3 and 4, 3 and 4 have the same number of carbons in the parent chain, so we would rule that out.